think it depends on the case, too.
It depends on the case.
Yeah.
And it depends on the case. It depends on who you have in that jury box, too. So that's why, like, having experience waiting tables in the restaurant industry where you're dealing with a new jury each time, a jury of however many people you have at the table, and you got to win them over and have a rapport and establish that and be able to read them and read their body language, read their emotions, see their interactions with each other. Those are very valuable skills to go into a jury trial.
Right.
1, 2, 3, go.
Jennifer Hardy, har.
Believe it or not,
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana Show.
the Lawyer Dana podcast.
Wow, we have a lot to talk about.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Then we're going to do it right after this. And da-da-da-da-da.
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana Podcast.
All right, quick. Tell us a joke, Jennifer.
Tell us a joke.
Yeah.
I don't have any jokes.
Okay, I got one. Every time that I come home, the parrot says, "Quick, out the window."
And I wonder why.
So, here's what I want to talk about today, because this is a question that we've actually received this week in the firm. I should put this in my pocket because it's not about my phone on the podcast. So, we have this, and
Well, something that we do at our firm is we use Google and we create Google chat rooms.
Yep.
So I think this is really great tool.
Yep.
So if you own your own business, or you don't even have to use this as a law firm, but you could use it in your business, and you have different departments in your business, you can create different Google chat room platforms for the people in that department or people that are going to be supporting that department, have them involved in it, and they can be able to put new information in it.
Yeah.
So if I see something, like just a few minutes ago, I saw something that was urgent that needed attention, I actually could take that email, I could either screenshot it, I could copy it, I can put it into that Google chat to our family law department, and our family law department, by me looking over that stuff, if I'm not looking at it, it can get lost in the mix because there's a lot of emails coming through. So when I see something that's urgent, I go ahead and drop it into that chat room, and that gets their eyes on it, and someone's already responded on it.
Yep.
So that's really, really important.
And the systems that we use, like, for example, Lee Rosen, who is a friend and mentor and coach for me for a while, who he sold his firm years ago, and now he does divorce discourse. And he travels the world with a carry-on. That's everything he owns is in a carry-on. Anyway, he used Slack back before Google had a lot of their different tools integrated, and now we use Google for that, and it just keeps us in. It keeps us in touch no matter where we are,
Right.
and we can go anywhere in the world and still function, whether we are, at our desk on the beach or at, like, you're here, not at your normal office.
Right.
We can function, like, in between the episodes, 5 minutes of check this and we're good. Okay, great. And it's a great communication tool, and it's fast and efficient
Right.
and valuable.
Very valuable.
And that's what we always want to be.
Yeah.
So we had a client that
We had a potential client.
client. So what our process is when we have a client will call in, and they'll schedule an initial consultation. And sometimes clients will send in a bunch of documents before the consultation. And I think one of the things that we need to improve is letting them know that we don't review those documents ahead of the consultation. In our initial consultations, they get up to 1 hour for a set flat fee.
Right.
And sometimes I've had consultations that have lasted 12 minutes and for the same price, or I've had consultations that'll go a little bit over an hour sometimes. Most of the time they're right around 50 minutes. It just kind of depends.
45, 50 minutes.
45, 50 minutes. I think that's the amount of time that you really need in order to do a good consultation. But some people it's less, some people it's more. I average right around the 45 minutes. But we had one client that was disappointed that I didn't review their documents before the consultation, and they lost confidence. But and I made just a couple of notes about what I do. But I just don't review things prior to the consultation. There's a few reasons for that. One, I want to hear their story, even though there's a few different reasons for that. One, it's if I'm sitting there reading notes and reading all that, then I'm not really listening to them, and it's much more important that I listen and engage. Second, when I am listening and engaging to them, I'm memorizing and remembering them and beginning to work on the case. Another is I'm listening to them tell their story and seeing how well they tell it and whether it's consistent between when they told like Emily or Dee or one of our intake people versus when they tell it to me. And I use that for a variety of different reasons. One, are our intake people getting correct information, which that's always a check mark, really. I don't think that's ever failed. Or is the client changing their story, like as part of our screening process? Do I have a crazy person, or how do they sound? Do I have a good person that is in a bad situation? Is a whole different thing than like a bad person, like who just wants revenge and punishment, and because I don't want to get the client who is the abuser.
Right.
Well, that's not a client that I want, and I will drop that client possibly. It just depends. I've had clients, if it turns out they made a mistake or whatever, those are the type of things to deal with. But if if I have the narcissist who wants to punish the other side for the sake of evil and nefarious reasons, like usually they won't even come to us because those type of people don't want a soft divorce, and the branding repels those type of people. And then the way I have a consultation, when I say we have a strict no revenge policy, then that repels them too. They just don't hire us. I can't even think of anybody that we've had that is that type of person. We just don't deal with that.
You usually figure it out in a screening process.
Absolutely.
I mean, someone might think that they want a soft divorce, but in the end, that's not what they're truly wanting. So.
No, it's more if they want revenge, that the concept of soft divorce won't resonate with them, and they just won't like me, and they won't like us, and it's perfectly fine. The way that we've designed our business is to repel the type of clients that we don't want. Right. And the best thing is that I never spend a minute with them, because for the price of our consults, I have a lot of different better things to do. The reason why our consults can be more affordable is because I have such a great closing rate that almost all of our clients, like almost all of them, hire us. And I know that I make profit margin from the entire case and from the entire firm. And so I have the privilege of and the benefit, and one of the reasons why I can sell so much and my rates are higher is because I have the benefit of being able to say no and turn them down, and I don't need any of the money because our business works great. And so I'm not desperate. Right. And a desperate salesperson trying to get them to buy from us, I'm not doing that. What I'm doing is give to them, give them the information that I think that they need to hear, even if it's not what they want to hear. Plenty of times, and some people don't like me because I tell people, I know you don't want to hear this, but I got to tell you what I think and what my true opinion is and what my assessment is. And some people don't like it and can't hear it, and those people a lot of times won't hire us. Sometimes they will, but more often than not, people are like, "Thank you so much for being honest with me and telling me." And I go, "You're welcome. That is my job." And our goal with every case that we take is settle the case, solve the case. It's not even settle, it's solve it. We find the solution and implement the solution. And that results in a settlement and the case being done, or the solution to the case is occasionally we have to go all the way through trial. And much more often than not, we do temporary order hearings. I mean, we do temporary order hearings probably 100 to 1 maybe, or 50 to 1 for a final trial. I mean, it's a lot. Right. Like we go to a lot of temporary order hearings, but also 90% of our cases never even have to go to a temporary order hearing because we're so successful in solving it without having to do everything the hard way. Right. Because we know what the judges are going to do. We know exactly how it's going to come out, and we deal with that. And because a lot of people are like, have this amorphous, unknown fear of what court is. We don't. It's a pure cost-benefit analysis. This is how this is going to come out. And I can't think of an instance where I've been wrong or slightly where I think, oh, we even got a little bit more than what I thought. Oh, wow, we got that because that was only a 50-50. Like that was a maybe. But usually we get those maybes. Why? Because when we go into court, we present a very reasonable, good solution. Right. And we've gone into court. Lisa recently went into a court with a lawyer who was like all the accusing and the judge and we were, all of us and the judge, we're all rolling our eyes. Our client was scared. our client was really scared that he was like, how come Lisa's not doing this? I thought it was supposed to be that. And he thought the other attorney was doing great. But the judge didn't. We're over here reading the room, and the judge and the opposing counsel's like, just like out of control. And I mean, when a judge looks at you during a case, like looks at the attorney and is just like, gives you one of those like that type of look during the case. Right. When the other attorney does it again, and then they do it again, and the judge, judges telegraph to the attorneys, and some attorneys are too dense to realize that.
Right.
But that whole barking dog thing, like a lot of times you have to back down, and if I had, I have to watch that because I can be like, I can be really over the top and destroy someone on the stand.
No judge wants to see
and no judge really wants to see that. What they really like is, and there's an attorney that I think that did this the best ever in trying a case, is an attorney named Dan Haygood. Mm-hmm. He is gentle, respectful, and stands up and professional. He's a colonel in the Marines as well, and you wouldn't know it by his presentation, but I mean he's just a very there's a lot of respect there. Great guy. I mean, and anybody, like if there's any kind of, he's a criminal defense attorney that I watched in trial, and so and he won. But any criminal defendant in Dallas County, if you have the opportunity, and Dan will take your case, Dan Haygood, have Dan take your case. Hands down, excellent. And there's quite a few of those. Like Barry Sorrells is excellent. Robert Udishin is excellent. Mike McCullum. He teaches. He's the one that taught Daniel and I in the criminal defense clinic.
Oh wow.
Michelle Moore is actually a public defender. Is just out of this world. Yeah. And I don't know if she takes any private cases or not, but those type of attorneys are not the ones like doing the barking dog stuff.
Right.
Maybe in front of a jury that can work. Maybe, but.
I think it depends on the case, too.
It depends on the case.
Yeah.
And it depends on the case. It depends on who you have in that jury box, too. So that's why, like, having experience waiting tables in the restaurant industry where you're dealing with a new jury each time, a jury of however many people you have at the table, and you got to win them over and have a rapport and establish that and be able to read them and read their body language, read their emotions, see their interactions with each other. Those are very valuable skills to go into a jury trial.
Right. Oh, so I would be good at that.
You probably would be. Do you want to go to law school? We'll pay for it.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess the biggest take from a consultation is this. So if you're booking a consultation with an attorney and you have a bunch of paperwork that you want the attorney to look over, be under the understanding that you're having up to 1 hour in those consultations, and the attorney needs to really understand your case, and that sometimes everything in the documents aren't going to tell them everything, but what
a lot of times the documents are not even relevant.
Is what's going to help them.
Yeah, like I can look at the documents here. In a consultation, I need to hear that person's story. That's more important. Right. And the documents, like I can read the documents in a very short period of time, but if you want me to spend 20 minutes of the hour on those documents, it might not serve you.
Right.
I know when to read the documents and when not to. And if that caused her to lose confidence, I don't know that that's what it is. I think that's her looking for a reason to not do what she wants, because her subconscious is in that it is resistant, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, some people, that's their way of saying no, too.
Because this is not about any particular client. This is a hypothetical of something that has happened, can happen, and has happened, sometime in the past. But when they send documents, I think we are missing a letter that says Mr. Palmer will review these documents with you in the consultation if necessary. We don't review documents prior to the consultation. Document review is something that he will do as necessary. It's something that he does as necessary, if necessary, and also, of course, after you hire us, that's where we begin this work and are able to do these things.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, I usually will. I'm not adverse to reviewing documents, but there's a principle in a consultation. You're actually not there to solve their problem during the consultation.
Right.
You're there to determine whether or not they should become a client of yours or not, and whether or not you should be their attorney. If you're willing to accept the case, and if they're a good client for you, and if you're a good attorney for them, if it's a good fit, that's the purpose of the consultation, not to actually solve their problem.
Right.
The solving comes after that. It's technically you sell them legal services first, and then you solve their problem after that. And a lot of clients don't particularly understand that. And
that you're talking about sells, because the big book of words that sell.
there we go. You want to pick a word for our word of the day? Have we done our word of the day yet?
No, not yet. Not on this one.
So some of these are a lot of this book is interesting, like, because these are like just angles, like the curse of too much money.
Well, I think what selling is understanding what the person needs. First off,
Yeah.
really understanding.
I think they should title this book "Words That Sell on the Internet." Actually, it's more words that hook.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these are just hooks, like revolutionary push button ironing, like push button, right? This is an old thing. Impeccable heirloom, a beautiful heirloom carpet you will keep for generations, or hop to it, or hot to it. Our bunny chocolate lollipops are the perfect Easter treat, right? Or get the latest driveway sealant. Like, these are all hooks that would get you interested. But the type of selling that we're talking about, and especially when selling legal services or selling something that's expensive, even like selling a car, it's about finding out about the person. Because if you
Right.
like, isn't that like somebody walks in your car lot, looks at the sports car, they're amazed by it, wow, and you try and sell them that sports car, but they're there to buy a minivan, and you spend an hour trying to sell them a sports car, and you haven't ever realized that they're there for a minivan. And then they leave because you had an hour worth of their attention. And now they're tired, and the kids are yelling, "Oh, let's come back later," or whatever. Like,
Right.
they came to get a minivan, and you didn't do it because you
Right.
didn't listen to them and get them whatever it is that they need to do. And that's a very important part. And that's why we go through the escape arrival framework, which is, where are you now? Where is it that you want to be? And how do we get you there?
Right.
A lot of clients think, "Oh, I just want to get a few questions answered." Yes, that's what you think. And thankfully, you've called an attorney. But a lot of times it's like, you think you just want to get off this plank. Like you're on a pirate ship and you're at the plank and you think, I just want to get off the plank, but the pirate ship is sinking and I have a boat.
Right.
Like, you need to get on the boat so that we get you off the ship.
Right.
Or it's like the Titanic is headed towards an iceberg, and you think, I just want to get like on one of the lifeboats or something, or you don't even know about that. Like, I called you because I want to get a ticket to the dinner tonight, on the Titanic.
Right.
And we know, hey, that there's an iceberg right there that you don't see. A lot of it is things like that.
Right.
And if you are headed towards an iceberg on the Titanic, you either need to change the direction of the Titanic or you need to get off the boat.
Right.
And preferably we change the direction of the Titanic and then serve you the nice meal that you wanted.
Right.
But a lot of people don't realize, hey, you are about to jump in the water. Like, you're getting a life jacket and we're trying to put you into the lifeboat. And you think you need a life jacket, but you're missing the lifeboat.
Right.
And you're probably going to freeze to death and die if you're in the life jacket.
Right.
And they don't get it.
Right.
Some of them. But my job is to help them really appraise the situation. And if they know and they really believe me and they understand and they go, no, I'm going to take a life jacket because I want my family to get in a lifeboat, for example, and you only have one seat. And so I want the kids to get in the lifeboat. I'll take the life jacket, and I realize I'm going to try and figure out ways to keep warm, and all I have to do is make it a certain amount of time, and I'm going to get, like, rather than a door that, quite honestly, Jack could have gotten on the door. Have you seen the diagrams where they diagram out, like, here's her body on the door, and here's where his body could have been on the door?
Well, didn't he try to get on the door, but it started sinking?
I don't know. I haven't really. It's been years. But anyway,
I remember.
But
that
here's an
movie
idea:
very
get
well.
another door. I don't know, things like that.
Well, they were
or
in
something.
the water.
Oh, I know. I'm just kidding. So, but point being is, I prefer to go, hey, don't get on the Titanic because we know it's
Right.
going to hit and it doesn't have enough lifeboats. And would you rather, or even not knowing it's going to hit, the Titanic is not a safe boat because it didn't have enough lifeboats. Would you get on the boat?
Right.
And a lot of people are like, yeah. And I go, you know what? There's been 15 Titanics in the same situation. They've all sank before because I'm the person that they've been calling. You know, the question is if you get good and honest advice and you can't take it, then sometimes you can't help people.
Right.
But yeah, I think we need to be really clear that we don't review documents prior to a consultation, and that tends to be something, you know. And I think I don't know if some of the clients are thinking, oh, if they'll review my documents, then I get the hour that they're trying to get some free legal out of it,
Right.
or whatever, which is. It's a wrong tactic. And by the way, if our clients are doing that and trying to do that, they're not good clients for us, because somebody who won't pay us at the beginning won't pay us at the end.
Right.
And for the benefit of all of our clients, we can't have clients that don't pay us, because then we can't deliver.
I don't know if all of them are like that. I think some of them are just thinking, oh, can he review this and know what's going on.
I agree completely.
And he'll understand what's happening.
I think it goes along the lines of, and this is an important business concept. You have to manage their expectations and you have to guide them through the process.
Right.
And with that complaint, we found a gap in our process, and now we have a new trigger. If they send in documents, then we need to educate them about how we handle those documents. Otherwise, they're going to have either expectations that we've accidentally set or that we have failed to set, and they have their preconceived notions of how it's going to happen. And then we don't meet that and conform with that, and they're subconscious and can't take it. And because they're already having trust issues,
right.
If they're going through a divorce, the person that they thought they trusted the most has now betrayed them, or they can't trust,
Right.
or is betraying them, or is cleaving away and breaking from them. So there's issues there, and their self-esteem is way down, and they may be having a really hard time making decisions, especially who can I trust and who should I trust.
Right.
And it only takes a little bit for their self-conscious to panic them about it and then not want to move forward, and they then get paralysis by analysis or detriment by failing to make the decision.
Right.
They don't make the decision they need to do, and it's one of those, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. And by choosing not to decide, then they get hit by the train because they fail to get off the tracks.
Right.
That's why having a coach who is ahead of you and thought of these things and is focused on designing the business that runs smoothly and gets all of their clients through it in a very smooth manner, as healthily as possible, that's a critical skill to learn.
It is.
And lawyers are, in general, not taught that.
No,
And
not at all.
especially, and the information's out there in this giant and conglomerate, like it's at libraries, it's on the internet, it's here, it's on YouTube, it's there. There's stuff that's there, but how do you curate it down to what do you need, and what's the analysis? And that can only be done by a person. And we do it with the escape arrival framework. Where are you now? Where is it that you want to be? What can we do to help you get there? And then we help you get there.
Right.
And by doing that, the level of success is rapidly increased. Your level of stress has gone down, and you have something that people that work with you. It's critical that you get a coach if you are a law firm owner.
Right.
And it's preferable to get one in your area of law, although not entirely necessary.
Right.
Because there are good programs that are out there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So for family law, there's Worthy Vision Company, which I think is hands down the best. And
Worthy
you get
Vision Company is the best.
Well, and you get a lot of personal attention
Yes.
from me, and we keep, just like we demonstrated here on how we improve a Palmer Law Group system and procedure, we're constantly doing that with Worthy Vision, and Worthy Vision is better, 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 better.
Here's the thing with Worthy Vision that I'll stress. Worthy Vision is not huge as a company yet. So, a lot of these other coaching companies, they have like 50, 60, 70 law firms underneath them, and they're not giving the attention that those law firms need. They're charging. They're not.
Well,
Let's
it
be honest
depends.
with it.
It depends. No, I would say, so there are some that are out there, and I mean, I'll even name them. I think Crisp does a good job. I think R. John Robbins does a good job. I think Divorce Discourse, Lee Rosen, I think he does a good job. Raj Jha is probably okay. Alexis Neely, for her, in a limited amount of she has kind of a program that more of a program and thing that you can buy. I think that's decent, although it doesn't get you as far. Like, I wouldn't call, at least my experience, and this is from years in the past, I wouldn't call hers necessarily a coaching program. I'd call it more of a system that you can kind of buy that gives you a lot of scripts and things like that.
Right.
But it's not in how you implement that, and there's not really the escape arrival framework with her
Right.
program that I noticed, and that may have changed. But Raj's job with his flat fee formula, it's kind of like that, but I didn't feel very invested in his. Frank Kern has some good stuff. Of course, if you take Tony Robbins' programs, Tony Robbins and that stuff, he has good stuff, but it's not particularly the flavor of how do you practice law and what are these very specific tools and techniques that are there, and then also like which one should you use now? What would be the one that benefits you the most? Because you walk up and there's this smorgasbord, like what should you eat? And you realize I got to eat all of this, and where should I eat? What's the first bite of the elephant that I should eat? And more importantly,
But you got me off my point. My point is this.
yeah, you can get a lot of specialized focused attention from Worthy Vision right now.
Yes, and you're going to have like people that really
Yeah.
care about your business
Oh, yeah.
and want to help you grow your business and
Extremely
give
high
you-
level of it.
Yes, and give you the tools that you need. And at the end of the day, that's what a lot of firms need.
And we
I
are
don't
building
know.
this right. We are building this really well to be scalable long term, and to, I mean, we've taken the best and ideas from, and not, we haven't taken ideas from other programs. We have taken the experience that I've gone through and what I've actually used and with a conglomeration from everywhere. I've given myself a real world master's degree level of education, and I really mean a level of mastery.
Right.
And to teaching me how to do this stuff and to be able to help take people from where I used to be to where I am now and beyond.
To add to your point, Dana, Worthy Vision is set up, even when it's scaled at its max, that clients get individualized attention, lots of access to us. That's something that does set us apart from the other programs, is the accessibility, which will be maintained through scaling.
Yep.
Which is my whole point with other companies. Again, I've never worked with the other companies. You have. You've had
Our
a lot of
value
experience
proposition
with
for
them.
what we charge right now
Yes.
is incredibly high.
Yes.
At double our price, the
Yes.
value proposition is incredibly high. I mean, for other programs, they are probably about 3 to 4 times as much as we are now.
So how much is Worthy Vision? If you were to join Worthy Vision today, how much would your initial investment be?
$2,500 a month.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I think CRISP is 5,000.
It depends
think
on how much your
Arjan's
firm
program-
was. Chris
Yeah.
started at 5, but if
Yeah.
you were at $1 million, his was over 6.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean.
and then Arjan Robbins, he does a lot of workshops, but his
Uh-huh.
workshops are like $5,000 or $10,000 a workshop and things like
Right.
that. For us, we just work on the stuff with you, and we
Right.
figure out what it is that you need and
help you get
customize
there.
it.
Yeah.
And I get why, because of size and things, Arjan's workshops are good. And I went to some of Arjan's workshops that I thought were excellent, and I went to some of his workshops that I thought were a bust. And I would say that even the bust ones, the overall value proposition was good. I just think I outgrew where he was at the time,
Right.
and then I just moved on to more and different and rapid things, and
And that's okay. I mean, you're gonna. There are coaches you're gonna outgrow.
Yeah.
And you're gonna find somebody else to get you to the next level.
yeah.
So that's okay. So if that happens to you, don't sweat it.
And I think
mean,
Arjan focuses on gross revenue.
Uh-huh.
And I hit those goals. But the first year that I made $1 million, it cost me $1 million to do it.
Right.
My focus is profitability and how much do you get to keep? How much did you pay yourself?
Right.
And I think at the time that I got out of the program, that was starting to become something that they were getting into. And a friend of mine, Eric Broll, who was in the program, he had sent me a book, Pay Yourself First.
Right.
And at the time I was like, I don't, that concept to me, I don't know that I read the book at that time, but that was right around the time where I was getting out of Arjon's program. I think he actually may have even sent that to me afterwards. So maybe Arjon has that in the program now. I'm several years out of date on several of the programs that I had mentioned. The one that I've seen most of is CRISP, and they have a very but CRISP does a whole lot of different areas of law. If I could incorporate and work with CRISP, like I would consider that just doing family law aspect of it. And when we went to one of CRISP's, we went to, what was it, the $1 Million Day or something, and they gave an assessment, and I was the only, you and I, we were the only ones that raised our hand that we had all that stuff checked. And the value proposition that I was telling everybody in the room, because one guy that was sitting behind us did not believe that we had all that. He goes, "It's impossible." I'm like, no. And after I said that, and what Michael called on me, and I was like, yeah, we have all that. And then he goes to Jennifer. He goes, "Does he really?"
Yeah.
And Jennifer's, "What'd you say?"
Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy behind us was like, "That's impossible. Like, there's no way. I just don't believe it." And I was like, "Okay, but we do. I mean." And I could show it all to you in writing, like we have it. We have it extensively mapped out.
He said there's no way anybody could be like this. You can't be perfect or something like that.
Well, there's always things to improve, but we have every one of those things in place.
Right.
And they're all
and
really good.
And exactly, that wasn't
good versions of it too.
The question wasn't, are you running 100%? The question was, do you have these things executed?
And there was like two of them. I was like, oh, this would be the next one I would work on and improve it a little bit too.
Right.
And then this one I would work on and improve it, but it's still a check mark. I have it, and it's like there obviously, like, because I'm always looking for a better way to do something, and then working to improve it.
Right.
And throughout, at the end of the conference, everybody wanted to come up and talk to me about it, and what I was telling them was, at $5,000 a month, they have a very good value proposition.
Right.
And if not this one, something, but you should do it.
Right.
And why not this one? I mean, you're already here. It's good enough. You've been through the first day. You've got a little bit of your time invested in it, because the cost invested, I mean, $5,000 a month is $60,000. For a law firm to have a $60,000 employee that delivers what all that is, sold.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if you try and do it yourself, you're going to spend $500,000, and you're going to have 5 people on salary.
And are you going to fail along the way?
And you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And you're going to come up against all the same mistakes that everybody's done before. You're going to try and reinvent the wheel, and you ain't going to get there with it.
Right.
And the value proposition that we have at $2,500, I would suspect I would say that their materials are probably more organized than ours, because we're just a newer company. But the one-on-one attention, I would think that, because I don't know for sure, but it certainly appears to me right now that the one-on-one attention that you get from our firm is very much more.
Oh, yes.
And I also suspect that we have to increase pricing. I mean, our pricing probably needs to be around the $5,000 level for our members, but that's what it is for now.
Right.
And
so take advantage of that deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is, as we're filming this is June of 2022.
Yep.
And on that, we will see you in the next episode of the Lawyer Dana podcast with Jennifer Hardy Har. And like and subscribe and buy our merch whenever we get any. And please support our podcast, like and share.
Yes.
Please share the podcast if there's anybody that you know is an entrepreneur or likes
legal advice,
needs or anything regarding family law knowledge or entrepreneurship or Star Wars. We seem to talk about that too.
Or movies.
And Jennifer likes back to school and comedians and comedy.
Yes.
So we will see you in the next episode.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.
The Lawyer Dana Podcast.